tuning in to the online broadcast network, AFTERBUZZ TV. Over 20 million weekly downloads in over 150 countries, and your number one source for after-show entertainment. AFTERBUZZ TV, the destination for TV superfans. Producing aftershows for over 300 of your favorite TV shows. Interviewing celebrities and showrunners. And bringing you behind-the-scenes exclusives. All thanks to E! Entertainment's Maria Menounos, producer Kevin Undergaro, and internet leader Akamai. Now, let the buzz begin!
Hey there, Saul fans. Welcome back to the Better Call Saul after show here on AFTERBUZZ TV. Talking about Season 1, Episode 4, Hero. I'm Matt Lieberman. Joining me as always on the panel, Mr. Zach Wilson is here.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in.
Pegah Rad is here.
Hi everyone.
Stephen Lemieux is here.
I'm over here.
Yes, and we have a very, very special guest. Rhea Seehorn, who plays Kim on the show, is here with us. Welcome.
Hi, thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah,
thanks for joining
absolutely.
us.
Thank you for joining us. Before we begin, I just want to talk really briefly about a brand new show that is coming to ABC. It is one of the biggest, most anticipated television events of the year. It's called American Crime. It's a groundbreaking new series. It's premiering Thursday, March 5th at 10/9 Central, and it is, of course, on ABC. Now, once you're done watching that show, you know, we here at AfterBuzz, we put out a ton of after-show podcasts, so why don't you tune in to the American Crime podcast, the official podcast hosted by Elvis Mitchell, where he's going to be talking every single week with creator and executive producer John Ridley, who, of course, is the Academy Award-winning screenwriter of 12 Years a Slave, along with actors from the show, discussing the latest episodes, character storylines, and other timely topics. You should go to podcast1.com/AmericanCrime to subscribe. And hey, while you're on podcast1.com, why don't you check out some AfterBuzz shows as well? I want to say hi to those of you who are watching us live on YouTube. Welcome to the show. As always, you can talk to us live in the chat roll, or you can tweet at us, and we'll give you our Twitter handles right now. You can tweet at me at Matt Lieberman. That's MattLieberman. Right? Do you have a Twitter?
I do. It's at Rhea Seehorn, RHEASEEHORN.
All right.
I'm that Zach Wilson, so you can follow me at ThatZachWilson.
And I'm at Pegah Rad.
I'm at Stephen Lemieux. Not going to spell it.
Making things difficult for everyone.
You have to watch on YouTube to know.
Wow, what a tease.
I know.
So this episode, I really, really enjoyed it. You know, I've been telling friends, because a lot of people, for whatever reason, even though the show keeps breaking audience records and so on, a lot of people that I know are late to the game. They've maybe seen the pilot.
Let's call them.
Yeah, let's call them right now. Can we call them live? Do we have that capability?
I see what you did there.
Yeah. Yes, but they for whatever reason they're like afraid to dip their toes in the water. I'm like, no. The first 3 episodes, you gotta watch them. Like, it just builds, it gets better and better and better. I'm like, in this 4th episode, it's really gonna blow things open. The episode didn't look exactly like I thought it would, but it sets up, I think first of all, it gives Jimmy the ammunition to set up our central conflict for Season 1, and it's also just a great exploration of who is Jimmy without his back against the wall, when he is actively able to achieve his dreams, or, you know, maybe some misguided schemes. We also get the origin of the name Saul Goodman, which is fantastic. How did you guys feel about this episode?
Great. I mean, that was a great moment.
Yeah.
Saul Goodman.
Saul Goodman. And I can't believe that never occurred to me.
I know.
It never.
No, really?
It never occurred to me. And I have to imagine that was either Peter Gould's pitch, or that was just something he was thinking about, like, and making himself laugh when he originally came up with the character.
Matt, really? It never occurred to you?
It never occurred
Not
to
me either. Like, all the time I ever heard
Can't
Saul
believe
Goodman,
that.
it never clicked.
I've always been like, it's all good, man.
Yes.
When you call Saul Goodman.
Yeah.
I thought that was a thing.
Absolutely.
I don't know.
Ray agrees with me
My
and Pegah
fault.
that it's...
For sure.
Yeah,
I thought
it's
of it
obvious.
during Breaking Bad.
Me too.
Yeah.
And then I'm just a fool.
It's okay.
Yeah.
You're going to get
You
so
and me,
many hate
Matt,
messages.
we're the slow ones.
Yeah, exactly.
Which actually, speaking of slow, that's the one thing I've heard from people. Like, the only, and I don't quite understand it. I guess some people have been saying the show after episode 1 got slow.
I disagree.
I think what they're latching onto, though, and I don't think it's a negative, is that this is a much more, it's a calmer show in that it's not there's not so much death and shooting and killing people and
Far
drugs
less
and
tension.
Which, by the way, Breaking Bad did not have in
At the
season
top,
one either.
no.
Mhm.
Well, in the first episode, a couple
Right.
people,
Yeah,
or one
yeah,
person
yeah.
dies.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
But so sometimes, I mean, if you say slow, are you saying comparatively to Breaking Bad,
That's
or
what
are you
they're
saying comparatively just to the TV pace?
That's what people are saying is compared to Breaking
Okay.
Bad. But I say go back to season 1 and look. It's not a
I
crazy
say don't
show.
compare it.
Yeah.
It's a different
Exactly.
tale.
And
It's a
that's
very different tale.
That's the thing is like it started out episode 1. They really hooked Breaking Bad fans in by like
Sure.
throwing Tuco in there,
Yeah.
and that's like you
and
get
even
some
that
of
great
it.
flash forward with
Yeah.
Cinnabon. was so
Absolutely magnificent.
But what's great about this show is it is a lawyer show. It's Jimmy's show.
Yeah.
It's what we were getting in any scenes you had with Saul is a slow lawyer like pace, but the insanity that is in that world.
Yeah. What'd you think?
I thought, just like what you were saying, a lot more was going to happen with opening up like the Kettleman side of the story, and he was going to be their lawyer, but it went to like a more lighter feel for me. It was funny the whole way through.
Yeah, I thought this episode was just so very entertaining.
Yeah.
Like that's the one thing that I keep coming to with this show, and Breaking Bad, it hit a different kind of pleasure center, but this series is so very entertaining, and I think what people are hitting on and maybe mistaking for a lack of speed in pacing, because there's a lot of plot going on here over these past 4 episodes, is that our stakes as of right now are relatively low. The only tension so far is the looming knowledge of who he will become. And I think that these episodes have very, very quickly, they've set up who he is, what he cares about, what his worldview is, his relationship with his brother, this horrible relationship with Hamlin. We know that they're going to collide, but, what is he quite running from? This Nacho part of the equation is still kind of nebulous. We thought we were in it when he, broke this idea of robbing from the Kettlemans. We had all this action last episode, and this episode was just a little bit lighter. It's like, no. There's a lot more going on here. We haven't told you all the story. I feel like we've spent all this time, and I'm wondering how many episodes this season will be spent just arming us for what comes ahead.
I thought that they could have just dove in straight into the Nacho storyline, and this was sort of like, no, it's a thing. It's going to be there, but it's not the primary function. And that's what, because I could watch nothing but him dealing with stuff like the billboards. And like what I really think it's a credit to is Bob Odenkirk, and that like he goes from those emotional moments where like in the early scene with the Kettlemans, where you can see his just like, please let me be your lawyer. Like all these reasons.
Yeah,
why
I didn't find
should.
that scene amusing. There's a strange dark humor to it.
Yeah.
But I thought it was heartbreaking that
Well, because they're
he's
nuts.
desperately still trying to be a good man
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
himself
Yeah.
and for his brother and for Kim and for like we all hope to be good people at some point. And then they won't even let him like have this money. Like they insist that he call it a bribe. It's like, no, you have to say you are bad or you can't even have this. And and he struggles and then struggles later to still ring it up as like, earned funds. And I find that stuff sad. I find that to be a tension through the show is this, the character struggle of and we know his destiny, but we're watching somebody who's fighting against that. And I find that to be an internal tension and the idea of how many times can you be stepped on before you go, all right, I guess this is a self-fulfilling prophecy, or how hard he tries to be right given anything. And I don't know. There's something about the way Vince and Peter pace out character development that would feel cheap if they did it any other way. And so the fact that there's a bit of a roller coaster in tempo at times, I think adds to it being a full human picture.
Absolutely. And sorry, Zach, but just what you're saying, Ray, and that I think is a very important point is that, like Zach, you called it a lawyer show. To me, it's honestly, it's a character drama. And Breaking Bad from the jump was a crime drama. It started slow and it got a lot faster. It got a lot crazier. The world got a lot crazier. But as of right now, I wouldn't call it a crime show. I wouldn't even call it a law show because it's not a case of the week kind of a deal. It's very much a character drama. about the sort of internal fight for the soul of Jimmy McGill.
Yeah, well, that's I guess the differentiation in my mind between a law show and a lawyer show. Because this is a show about a lawyer and everything that goes into being. Because a lawyer is not just the law; it's everything that goes into that. And the reason that I latched onto that scene and comparing it to all the Billboard stuff is that. There's this interesting dynamic where he looks uncomfortable trying to convince them to let him be their lawyer, like to do everything on the up and up. Like, yes, give me the money and I'll just represent you properly in court, follow the law. He looks nervous and like there's emotion he's sad. But when he's...
I think it's uncomfortable to beg.
Yeah, exactly.
It's really uncomfortable.
And then when he's scamming, when he's like plotting the whole thing with like he's going to put up the billboard and he's going to like... He looks comfortable.
And even in the flashback scene at the beginning, yeah, it's strange to see somebody be winning at being a con man and to act like a beaten down dog when he's trying to be good, and you want him to turn out good, and in other ways you don't. And I think that's for me a very interesting journey to watch. And I think all of the characters are sort of so sure of what side of that line they fall on, and they're being asked to.
Yeah.
Take a look at that.
He's never more in his element than when he's doing something wrong.
Yeah, agreed.
Yeah.
I totally agree with you. It's like this thing switches on and he just like goes on this rant of
you know, but then you have
lies
like Chuck, who's supposedly that's the saint side of like not a con man and all that. And yet you are totally living off your brother.
Yeah.
Refusing to do anything about that setup, you know, and also, you know, he in the last episode, and then you see that played out here, how much it has gotten to Jimmy that even his own brother said maybe you should give up your own name in the episode before this one.
Yeah.
And you know, it's hard. I like that Vince and Peter write all of their characters where it's like, you know, if you think you're a saint, then you're going to run into just as much trouble as running around thinking you're just inherently bad.
Yeah.
True that. I want to talk about the cold open and the con that's played there, contrasted with this Billboard con. I loved this opening. I loved picking up with Jimmy in Cicero, with Kevin Wiseman, who it's always a pleasure to see him on screen, and the kind of double take that we as an audience have to play when our passed out drunk guy gets up. And it's just a great little sequence because I personally love a good misdirect, and it was just so much. I do.
There's two good ones in this one.
Great ones. And it's just like I'm like, I feel so bad for Jimmy. I'm like, I can't believe he's about. No. Go to the pawn shop with him. Go to the pawn shop with him. And split it all down the middle.
It's worth more than 3,000. Come on.
Fight harder. You know how to do it better than this. I'm like, oh no, wait, you're just a gosh darn genius, aren't
so
you?
good.
Yeah, beautiful. Versus like when he's out of options, you know, calling like news outlet after news outlet after news outlet, which like why is he pushing this so hard? Like Kim makes such a good point of just like you are not going to win this.
Right.
Like
even just better. Like there's better stuff to do with your money and time.
Yeah, and you have so much of that money right now.
Right.
You spend all of it just trying to look like him.
Which she doesn't know. She thinks he's spending every last dime that he barely has to do this billboard. She doesn't know that he has the money that he just got.
The dirty money.
No.
Yeah. There's no reason to be just like courting the bull here.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. And I mean, they do a great job of, you know, I said like everybody having two sides, but I love, because Chuck for the most part, I think is this wonderful brother, and I don't think he knows that he's hurting his brother when he wants him to, to elevate him, and so maybe he is a saint. But Hamlin, I love, and Patrick Fabian is so great at playing this as well. That line of like, is he, a complete a-hole, or is it complete projection of Saul's on him?
Right.
Because he's not actually doing anything wrong, but he gets under your skin.
Yeah. He's just dry. He just seems like kind of a dick. Like there's no evidence that has actually been the case, other than of course, cheating Chuck out of a large sum of money.
Right.
But even that you could argue like he didn't, like his argument's not wrong.
Yeah.
Like yes, he's like keeping him on the payroll, but he's not like just robbing him blind.
Yes, and as Chuck said in the other episode when he was explaining to his brother why he didn't want to sell out, is he believes he's coming back. And he emotionally says, you know, basically anybody that cares about me agrees that I'm coming back. Why would you not have that hope for me? So if Hamlin has the hope that he's coming back, why would you let him sell off his part of the company?
It's
Yeah.
just this arrogance that he has about him, this like entitlement where he walks
Or is
around
it
like
the
he owns. Or the suit. Pretty nice
Such
suit.
good suits.
Beautiful knit tie.
Oh, I love to flip through the photo
the-
boards of his suits.
Real pearls.
I think it's something about those like the studs on his collar.
Yeah, right.
Just like
That tie pin.
why?
Right? Wasn't it fun watching Jimmy in the suit? Or though look
I
at his
loved
look at the
it.
shirts that Saul would eventually get.
Yeah, up on the shelf. If you look, there's the yellow and the red.
love
That's
it.
totally. They probably just grabbed an old Saul costume.
I don't,
and
you know,
put
I
it up
wasn't there for that, but I know it was purposeful that he picks up that orange shirt and checks it out with a weird tie and all of that. So yeah,
Yeah, because that's more his style.
right.
That's more his style. Let's talk about the Kettlemans. We touched briefly on it, but they're so delusional, and I know that it's
They're
like
so good.
It's
I love
so
those two.
sad because he's trying so hard to be the person that Chuck wants him to be, that Kim wants him to be, that he wishes that he was, and he's like it. It would be so easy to take the easy way out here.
Yeah.
It would be so very easy, and he's trying to do it a different way, and they are so beautifully, blissfully delusional
Oh my God.
about their lack of
They
guilt.
refuse
They're
to
so kooky.
Yeah.
admit that they're guilty.
It broke my heart when she was like, "You're the kind of lawyer guilty people hire." I was
Right.
like, "Oh."
But it's the truth,
It
though.
is. It is. But that.
Or is that just a
shot on his face-
self-fulfilling prophecy?
Look in your hand.
Yeah, like you're the guilty
people.
one.
What
Yeah.
are you holding?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Like they're completely delusional, which is so much fun
Yeah.
to watch.
Well, we predicted last week that he would then become their lawyer, and that would start the whole drama. But
Did you?
we did. We did. We predicted there would be drama between him and Hamlin, which there was. Came from a different place.
Different. Yeah.
Yeah.
I was sort of expecting that they might go to his side, and then the drama becomes between Kim and Jimmy. You stole my client.
Ah, okay. Okay.
Because I guess I'm curious, and I'm not sure what we can. I'm curious where Kim is in her life, because he says that this is her big break.
Yes.
So she's not.
She has a very ambitious plan
lawyer.
of like a
Yeah.
two-year plan to become a partner at this firm, which is pretty ambitious.
That is very ambitious.
Yeah. Yes. You know, a small thing they wrote into this script that I loved is that just when you think she's disapproving of he won't stop being the old Jimmy, that she has known. I think they have implied that there is a very long history, and more of that gets revealed, the exact timeline of how they've come to know each other. But they both came from not a lot, and both try to build themselves up, and she ended up at this law firm and he didn't, but when I love that it was written in that she smiles at the end after you think she's disapproving of this prank he's pulled, because I think she does know the real Jimmy, and I don't think she has total disgust for it. It's not like, why can't you just be a totally different person? I think she literally wants the best for him, and in a way that is him. And I think it was fun playing that scene with Bob in the nail salon, that she wants the best for him, and I think it goes past just like be a good man. For me, that's too, thank God, in Vincent Peters' hands, that's too simple of a relationship setup that it's, she's like, you're more interesting than that billboard. I mean, I feel like she's telling him you're more interesting and have a law practice that you could do, that only you could do, that would be totally different than Hamlin, but every bit as good. And
Be your best self.
Yeah.
And in turn, he disapproves of where Kim's work. You're so much better than Hamlin. What are you doing there?
Yeah.
It
And he says
sounds
you should
like-
be somewhere where someone cares about.
Yeah.
It sounds like an overture that he's made several times before.
Well, she chooses not to answer. She chooses not to say anything.
Yeah.
But I think that's partially Kim, and it's fun to play that it's almost a reverse stereotypical dynamic, at least, that she's the less emotional between the man and the woman.
Yeah.
She plays her cards closer to the chest and just sort of listens. But yeah, I think they do a great job, and the directors, and this one, it was Colin Buxey, who had just been, did he win or was he just nominated for Fargo at the time that we were shooting this? he eventually won, but I can't remember if it was announced at the time. But they all do a great job of implying great history in the lines that they give.
I was
that
about
they give
to,
Bob and I. It's great.
Yeah, I was gonna pay you both just an incredible compliment of just the levels of what's going on in that one scene and the amount of
thanks.
history. Just the amount of history you're able to convey. Having inhabited this character for such a short amount of time, and having worked with Bob, at this point, I assume for only a few weeks, is pretty remarkable.
Well, thank you.
Yeah, it was like a really fantastic sequence.
Thanks. They write, we don't improv anything, or with the exception of, like a handful of lines over an entire season for some very special circumstance. So everything that's in there, and even the scenes that I've been asked about, that first scene, which is one of my favorite scenes I've ever shot, in the garage smoking with him. People are like, was it written that you straightened the trash can? I'm like, yes, every single thing is written, and yet as specific as Vince and Peter are about their writing, which is a joy to be a part of that, and stage directions and everything that read like a beautiful novel, they still actually love actors, which is not always the way. You hope that it will be the way more often than not, but they want you to breathe in between the lines, and they're looking for a relationship and history to show that, and they give us that. They give us, and then the directors, like I said, is very much about. And Bob and I rehearse over and over, and just try to live the subtext, like you said. I mean, you speak differently to your mom, to your girlfriend, to your old friend, to your new friend, to your friend that you had a fight with yesterday. And there's a lot, and we talk about that, which is fun. We talk about that scene in Kim's lifespan. That scene comes after you see me leave him a message that's for her. Very vulnerable to act like you give a crap whether he calls back.
And also,
and clearly they usually speak every day, or else why would it be so weird? But she drops it and then goes over there and tries to talk to him. And I love how non-judgmental she is of him. I love that they adore each other on their own terms. I mean, that you don't see her ever make a face about, so you live in a nail salon.
That's just who he is. It's got perks.
You've accepted that.
He's doing the best he can.
Yeah.
He's doing the best he can, and I think she enjoys him and adores him and admires him, and just wants him to do whatever he needs to do to set sail.
Yeah. Even if it's accept a large bribe.
I don't know. I don't know what she thinks about that.
Yeah, well, she doesn't think anything yet because she doesn't know about it.
She doesn't know.
Yeah.
The question is, though, if she did, I mean, I know you can't really speak to that a lot, but, like, I'm curious what you guys think. Like, how would she be on board with it?
It depends on what he did with the money. If he spent all of it on this billboard stunt, I'm just saying, if that was what it took, if that's what it took for him to lift off, as you said, to take off and actually be able to perform the kind of law his way that he's always wanted and self-actualize, I feel like she'd be conflicted but not upset.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, she seems to have a great love for the law, so there's that. Like, I actually think she wants to be a lawyer because she believes in the law, but she's relatively new, so that journey, like, I'm not sure how far they will go with that, but that journey of finding out where your ethics and morals lie, and how about what if they have to get boiled down to the pragmatics that have no room for emotion in a courtroom. I don't know where she would fall on that. I was surprised when I turned the page that had her smiling after his prank. I thought she would be disapproving, and I was just so happy that they, not just with plot, but with character stuff. It's never a stunt. It's never clever for the sake of being clever, but it is always just a touch more human than you were expecting. Like, it's nobody's one thing. And so...
Wait, so you're saying that she definitely knows that not just the billboard, but
try to peg me into something.
Well, no, but what you're saying, like, she's pleased after his prank, not just that he put up the billboard, but that he saved someone. Patrick Fabian, Hamlin is saying that it was definitely a stunt. The whole thing was a publicity stunt. There's no way that he actually saved this guy out of his own, just generosity, goodwill.
Yeah. Well,
it is at the point in the show right now. It is ambiguous what she's smiling at.
I think when she, I guess my thought is, like, when she says,
coached.
Yes.
No, I don't know what you're talking about.
They're watching and listening.
I haven't signed any non-disclosure agreements.
I guess my thought is when she says, like, everybody loves a hero, I think, to me, that says, I understand what happened here.
Yeah.
I will not acknowledge it to you,
Right.
but I get it, and it's cool.
Right.
So I think
It's the old Jimmy too. I mean, I
Yeah.
think she admires that. This
Yeah.
is somebody who also, picked herself up by her own bootstraps. And I don't know. I honestly don't know. I haven't played out her entire back history in my own head. But if you're that ambitious and got that far this early, like what did you do? Not necessarily illegal,
Yeah.
but the choices we all make to get what we want and get where we want to be.
well, who do you
know.
have to leave behind to go into
Yeah.
a bigger step?
Well,
Like,
start with the fact that she's completely pretending to her boss that she's not even friends with him. I mean,
Yeah.
that's not a particularly
Yeah.
lovely quality.
Yeah,
when they're
that's
standing
hard.
at the billboard, she's like, I don't want to really talk to him. Yeah. What he's a free artsy kind of guy.
Yeah.
It's like, she
I'd
won't
never
even
go see The Thing with a guy like that.
she won't even admit that she knows him. I mean, that's that's not a
rotten.
lovely quality.
when she senses that there could be something dangerous in knowing this person, sort of
Or
backs
I don't
off.
know, or if it gets in the way of her
Yeah.
career goals,
Career, exactly.
So
Or
that
dan-
speaks
yeah.
to somebody who could, would maybe step on someone herself or do something wrong. I don't know. I just remember in that moment that between that scene and then the later scene of smiling, I was like, this is somebody who's not like, nobody gets to be just one thing, thank God.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I guess once we get to Saul, he's not really, maybe not as strong as the word jaded, but he's not like the most like optimistic person, I would
cynical.
say. Yeah, he's cynical. So what made him go fully down that rabbit hole?
I like seeing some optimism there, though. Now,
Yeah,
that
now
you
there
don't
is.
see,
Fits,
where
yeah.
he is.
But once
I like
once
that.
we get to the Breaking Bad years, it's not. So like I guess the relationship with Kim, like whatever it is, whatever it becomes, whatever it was,
Right.
what leads him to be that cynical person?
Yeah.
What drained the optimism out of Saul Goodman?
Right. Or did he eventually, or did enough people around him eventually support him doing what he's doing? I don't know. It's like you change or everyone around you changes or you just pick new friends. I don't know.
Yeah.
But you see in the flashbacks they do that you see him have joy when he's winning. And if he could be winning, doing the right thing, he probably would have done it. But his joy, like any of us, the joy comes from when you're able to do something well. So the problem is when you discover what that thing is, what are you supposed to do if it's not such a nice thing?
True. All right. At this point, I need to quickly take a second and talk to you about iTunes. Because, folks, the best way to support AfterBuzz TV is to go to iTunes and rate and review the shows that you listen to or that you watch on YouTube. It is quick, it is easy, and it only takes a second. It doesn't cost you a dime, and it helps everyone here. Did you know, and you probably did because I say it every week, but did you know that AfterBuzz TV puts out over 100 hours of free after-show content every single week? Did you know that?
I
Ray?
didn't.
It's the
I
truth.
didn't.
We cover almost every single show that is on the air on any channel, anywhere, and it is the widest array of after-show content anywhere on the web. You can take me to court. I will win because it's the truth.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's a big statement, I know.
Okay.
We here at AfterBuzz, it's a big undertaking. Our sponsors help us keep our lights on and our doors open. They find us, they trust us because we have the best fans, and those fans are vocal. And let them know, not only do they listen to these shows, not only do we have numbers, but these are people who care about the show enough that they're going to write us a review, leave us a rating. It helps a lot. Helps us get great guests like Ray, and
thanks.
you get it's the truth. What? And then you also get a great shout out here on the show.
Yeah. I want to give a shout to Maddie Mondo.
Maddie Mondo.
Awesome show, great show. They clear up all the confusion I might have when watching Better Call Saul.
All of
Also,
it, wow.
it's entertaining. We're still confused about some stuff, so it can't be all
I
of
hope
it.
so. Just
SF
it's a 4-episode season. Everything's done.
SF Homeless Guy, 5 stars. Good show, good team of hosts with Breaking Bad knowledge, good insight. One of the hosts kind of sounds like Bob Odenkirk.
Is that me?
Yep.
Who is it?
Really?
No.
Are you from the
Yeah,
Midwest?
all of the YouTube
No,
comments.
I'm from New Jersey. YouTube comments say I sound like Bob
like
Odenkirk.
a good chunk.
I don't think he
That's-
does.
that's
I don't think you do.
interesting.
They're like, are you doing it on purpose, or is that just you? I'm
it's
like, I
not.
think it's just
I don't think that's all right. Well, thank you. That's very nice.
Hawks Olsen. The panel really knows the ins and outs of this series, and we are only 3 episodes in. Obviously, they are seasoned in Breaking Bad as well. Good, wonderful insight and theories. Keep up the great work, guys. Glad to see Pegah on this AfterBuzz show. She was excellent on Freak Show.
Oh, yeah, American Horror Story.
IB Coco Nutty. Nice review, 5 stars. Great conversation about each episode. I have subscribed and appreciate the fast availability of each podcast following the show. And lastly, Langer Dude. This podcast is not short on stickers. I enjoyed AfterBuzz covering Sons of Anarchy.
I don't know.
Stickers. 'Cause no stickers.
Like actual decals?
Oh, short on stickers like
Mike.
Mike in as he's coming out of the courthouse, where
love the
he's always
reference.
missing a sticker and he has to go back.
Yeah.
Wow, that's
I get it.
That's very.
Like, I like
I
it.
feel so slow.
I knew when Better Call Saul started, the AfterBuzz podcast would be a must. 3 episodes in, and I have learned so much that I missed. The discussions are entertaining, and I love hearing future predictions. Keep up the great work.
Wow.
Thank you,
Thanks,
guys.
guys.
I'm
I
so-
want to hear future predictions.
Right? And I'm so pleased that a San Francisco homeless guy is able to
so
not only watch
lovely.
Better Call Saul, but can
Get a
keep
phone
up with
plan.
our after show.
I'm just excited for him getting a cell phone plan.
Seriously,
Really
it's like
great.
very awesome. Good to hear. What else do we want to talk about? I want to talk about Chuck and Jimmy's relationship with Chuck. And it's so very, very telling because he knows there's no way that Chuck will buy that this was just happenstance. He knows his brother.
Right.
And also he's got his suspicions. Jimmy already had to defend himself not even an episode ago about this isn't slipping, Jimmy. I'm not going back to the old ways. I made this promise, and he leaves his paper out, and it's just like Chuck knows he knows when his brother's lying.
He knows.
He's a lawyer. He knows when people lies. He knows what it sounds
he's
like.
like a genius.
Yeah.
He'll
Oh,
go
yeah.
to depths. He'll go outside and risk getting exposed
Yeah, he
to
went
electromagnetic.
outside.
It was really cool to see that point of view, though, to see like what he really feels, like what that is to him.
Yeah.
It's really cool.
And then it's just so awesome when it gets cut off at the point of view of the neighbor.
The cape.
Beautiful comedy. Yeah.
So good.
And what she must be thinking is just like,
Right.
what a weirdo.
Yeah.
Jesus.
Stole my paper.
Well, I guess they must be aware that this guy hasn't come out of his house, right? Or that there are never any lights on. That there's because they must see like the oil lamps at night.
Oh yeah, the neighborhood is aware. The neighborhood,
I
the
would think
neighbors
so.
are aware.
Especially the Albuquerque.
Not
town.
necessarily like specifically what's going on with him, but just like if there's a weird person in your neighborhood and it's a small neighborhood, it doesn't seem like that big of a neighborhood. I feel like somebody, especially that that old woman is a gossip.
Oh, totally.
I would presume that they also know exactly who lives in that house, wouldn't you? I mean, he was one of the most prominent lawyers in Albuquerque
That's true.
before
Oh,
he was
absolutely.
homebound.
Yeah.
I would assume that you would know in that neighborhood.
Not to mention, you'd notice that like every time somebody comes over, they're putting their watch and their keys.
Yeah,
and
well, also
stuff
just
in
no
the-
electricity coming from a house. It's a dark house,
Yeah.
except
Yeah.
for lanterns, always.
Yeah, it's
I would
weird.
think so.
But I think it's great, and he really does care enough to like risk everything by going outside.
He does, and I think I think it's hard. I mean, can you imagine living in that shadow if you were Jimmy? I mean, like, I just think the curse of having an older brother that's that right at everything and that great at everything and a saint about everything, like that's got to be hard.
Yeah.
It's like Beyonce and Solange.
It's exactly like Beyonce Solange, and that's what Michael McKean and Bob Odenkirk discuss all the time.
Do they really? Oh, okay. I was like, what?
Pegah thought she just stumbled on something huge.
I was like, music gossip.
I would be stunned if Michael McKean knows who Solange Knowles is. That would really impress me.
No, they would know.
would know?
Bob and Michael, yes.
Bob and Michael would know Solange Knowles?
I'm not saying that's the documentary they're going to sit down and watch if they have free time, or maybe they would. You'd have to ask them.
I
They're
think they're
both
both
two of
men
the
of
most
diverse
well-read
tastes.
people I've ever.
I don't
met
know
in my
what
life,
you guys
though.
are talking about.
Solange
Beyonce
is
and Solange?
Beyonce's sister, and they do not get along.
Interesting.
Yeah.
And but I don't think. But I don't. You think so? So you think Solange can't live in the shadow of Beyonce?
I mean,
Like,
it's
it's tough?
Beyonce. Like, no matter what you do
I like
and how hard
Solange's
you'll
fashion
ever...
better though.
Oh,
Like way better.
I gotta look that up.
Oh yeah.
Look at her outfits. We're taking this on a whole
No,
nother
I
level.
want to listen to another 20 minutes of just Beyonce and Solange, but that would piss some people off.
Or would it?
I think that it would.
fine.
I think I'm pretty secure that it would. I would like to briefly discuss the beautiful hair that that Jimmy has on this billboard.
Tony Curtis Spartacus.
The Tony Curtis Spartacus
So good,
curls,
right? It's so
which
good.
don't make any sense. Because I understand, is he trying to ape Fabian's hair?
Yes.
I know, but he doesn't have those curls.
He does, in a way. Hamlin's is like, it's just not as curly, but yes, that's what he's going for.
Oh my God. It's just it's a beautiful piece of work. And I remember that was the first thing that leaked from the show, was that billboard.
Yes.
It was the first thing that got kind of sent around on Twitter, and then I promptly forgot all about it because it had the crazy hair, and I was just like, oh man, that's gonna be what he looks like on the show.
Yeah.
And
we were filming there for 2 days, and that billboard was real on the side of one of the major highways there, and we knew that there's no way around leaking it, and people were seeing it, and it's huge and the same size as the other billboards. We were just very thankful that no one leaked the actual scenes when they started filming them, because there really was a guy hanging from the scaffolding and a crane out there and all of that, and they didn't leak any of that stuff. I also thought they'd just start honking, but there's actually this kind of wonderful, there's a keen interest but also a respect level for the most part from the locals in Albuquerque that's really lovely. They're so welcoming, they're so happy that the production is there, and they love Bob Odenkirk, they love Vince and Peter and Jonathan Banks and stuff, and so and that whole crew is mostly the same crew from Breaking Bad, and so there's that's nice. You walk around people, and you're getting ready to shoot at a diner or something, and there's people trying to see, but at the same time they'll say no, don't tell me, I don't want to.
I like it.
They feel protective of the show.
Well, it's like it's
nice.
their show.
Yeah,
you
that's
guys
nice.
in a way are local heroes. You're bringing a lot of business and money into town and attention to town, and
Yes.
yeah.
Yeah, my only problem was staring straight up into the sun for every shot that I'm supposed to be looking at the billboard. Me and Patrick
my
Fabian were like, can you see anything? And I was like, no. I was like, I think I'm crying. I was just
Oh no.
yeah, it was blood shooting out of her eyes.
So, how does Kim feel about Hamlin? Like, really, really?
I don't think I think she's honest when she's directing Jimmy away from making it a personal vendetta. I think, and when I say in the scene when he says he wants me to give up using my name, and she doesn't know that Chuck also supported that, which I know was even more burning for him. But she stops and says, I get it, that that's not great, but for the most part I think that she sees him as a really good lawyer who is the boss at a firm, and it was awesome when Chuck McGill was here, but he's not. So I don't think she thinks he is this bad guy or worth the time of Jimmy making this superhero villain out of him.
Right.
And I think Jimmy thinks she's just walking around with her eyes closed, and for right now, I don't think she thinks that.
Got it. All right, before we wrap up, we need to talk about the Nacho of it all. We need to talk about Mike very briefly. So Nacho free once again, and he's like, someone had to have warned the Kettlemans. It was obviously you.
Yeah.
There are going to be consequences for that. And I was so pleased that Jimmy did not cower in fear of this and was like, hey dude, you messed up.
Yeah, that's a great
not
scene.
me.
Yeah.
Not me. And I think it really struck a chord in Nacho. It's a subtle thing, but to me, I think that this is a guy who very, very rarely is put in any kind of place. Even when Tuco, would put potentially, or Miho would put him in his place, he's still thinking, okay, but yeah, I am still smarter than you. This is, I think, a big moment, and I have to wonder how he's going to lurch back into Jimmy's life, especially now that he's actually getting real work. Yeah.
I mean, it threatens, like, when he shows up in the middle of a legit client meeting. That's not going to be...
Right, just peels in with his blood-crusted van. That wouldn't be great.
What was the chemical you recommended?
Right?
Yeah.
I think he said Ajax and 409. Right?
Yeah.
Couple of great shout-outs, great product shout-outs.
They were. That was our sole product placement. I'm kidding.
And then also, he gets to thank Mike for all of his assistance, and he's really reaching out for a friendship here, and Mike's still not having it. Not having it one bit.
Or more help on cases. I mean, this guy seems to be a good font of information and
exactly.
tips.
Yeah.
Yeah, Mike's not having any of it. I love the line where he's like, and we can't all be as loquacious as you.
Yeah.
We can't all be so gifted.
I
That's what it is.
appreciate anyone who uses the word loquacious.
It's actually Jimmy that says loquacious.
Yeah.
Yes.
And he is
a good word.
loquacious. Yeah.
That's a good word.
Yeah. Okay.
Well, before we move into predictions, I want to just ask you, like, how you feel like the difference is working on a show like this, like Better Call Saul, especially being in, like, so much in the spotlight, supposed to working on a show like Whitney, like obviously comedy to hour long. How do you feel about the differences between the two?
You know, there's in some ways there's a lot of differences. In other ways, not. Luckily, I had lovely writers and directors, and Andy Ackerman directed the majority of Whitney, and he too is a director, and Whitney is a writer that wants you to bring something to the sandbox, like add stuff around it. So in sitcoms, sometimes it can be even harder to get the rhythm of a joke, but make the actual humor be about who is a person who would say that, not just the joke. And they loved that. And so in that way, it was similar in feeling respected and like part of a really great team. The differences are... Well, I mean, you're playing a drama with dark comedy in it, and getting to play a lot of subtleties as well, and a syncopated and a rhythm that's not quite as syncopated, because you don't have to do the rhythm of a joke. You can have air and make a different pace that fits the moment, and that's all been really fun to play. And also to know that you could play something just looking away says you're not telling the truth, as opposed to having to play out so much. And you can make a lot more internal choices, which is fun, as opposed to mostly external choices. I think that's, I mean, there's a lot, there was a lot of differences and a lot of similarities, I guess, but it's a joy to play. I feel like this has been more like theater, even though the sitcoms, when they're with a live audience, as we were with Whitney, that's theatrical in its presentation and proscenium style staging. But the way the writing is in Better Call Saul reminds me of a lot of great theater that I've done, and the way they direct it is it's cinematic, and but has the overall character arcs of theater, which has been lovely.
Cool. And how did you find the role just through like auditioning, or were you drawn to the character specifically?
I auditioned, but I was very drawn to the character, and very drawn to these people that are working on it. So that was amazing. And Russell and Sharon and Sherry, the great casting directors involved with this, they have all seen me audition over years for many things that never even saw the light of the day. They've seen a larger body of my work than has ever actually been on television. So they direct a lot in their auditions, which isn't always the norm, which is fun. They've seen me do one script 500 ways as well, and they're great with that. And so I think they thought that might be a good fit, and my particular ways I attack characters might be a good fit for Vince and Peter, so they had me come in, and the sides were different. I never played Kim or a lawyer. It was an entirely different scene, and then I got a call back, and then that was an entirely different character from the first one, or Kim. And then the third one was, but Vince and Peter were watching the tapes, and then I think they were out of town maybe or whatever, but then they came in and I worked with them, and by then I was absolutely in love with the character. Loved it. My audition scene was the phone call scene that's in episode 3, when he wakes me up in the middle of the night.
Nice.
Yeah.
The sex
that was
robot.
great. Yeah, that was really fun. And it was with Bob Odenkirk. So I was in love with it. But I left not knowing if I got the part, but had long discussions with them about the character, longer than you would think for an audition, and they were very respectful and wanted to know your thoughts about the character and the relationships, and I left thinking like, wow, if they want me to help tell this story, I did everything I could to show them how I'd want to help tell it. So you at least feel like you did what you could. Yeah.
And then, sorry, just
go ahead.
Do you feel like, I know that there's no like improv and stuff on set, but
No.
do you feel like you've worked with the writers, even if it's sort of indirectly, to build the character, or is it really all on the page?
Yes, our writers, it's all on the page, but the writers are very instrumental in how you helping you interpret it, and even being open to you interpreting it differently than they had expected. And if something is really bothering you, either that you prefer a word or two omitted or a word or two added or clarification on something. They're absolutely open to the discussion if it's coming from a character place, and then that's taken care of before you get to set. Cool. But for the most part, it's all written. And the Vince and Peter, they have Melissa Bernstein, the amazing producer, is always on set and their mouthpiece if they can't be there as showrunners. They're always the showrunner, but she'll physically be there all the time. And then your writer for that episode comes down to Albuquerque for the entire time you're shooting, and your director, of course, is always there. And then you can also additionally email and write and call Vince and Peter for more clarification. But from what I hear from everyone, they have some of the longest tone meetings in the business to make sure the writer and the director know exactly what Vince and Peter's answer would be as showrunners for every line. They have, I think they said 12-hour. 8 and 12 hour,
Jeez,
I guess it's 8 hours one day and then additional, and then they're gonna get mad at me if I say this wrong. I know it's whole full days and then sometimes additional tone meetings.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's impressive.
Yeah, but it's kind of cool that you walk up to these incredible directors that we had this whole time, and they have great thoughts, but then you can additionally say, but does this mean that, and they don't always answer you either. I'm like, am I lying in this, or do I know what I'm talking about? And they're just often it's just play what is, play what's the present. And but they have a very good handle on the tone they want.
Yeah. Shows how much they care.
Yeah.
They care deeply. I told you guys in the I don't care if Vince gets mad at this, but when Vince directed the pilot and it was Patrick and I's very first day on the set and not being part of the Breaking Bad family and kind of the new kids, and we had this big conference scene and we're like, oh my God, I don't want to drive this car in a ditch. Please don't let me be the person that messes this up. And Bob's coming in and doing his Ned Beatty network speech, which was hysterical over and over. And I think I have one line right before that, and Patrick has one, and Vince yells "cut," and Patrick Fabian, who is the only other actor I've ever known that's as self-deprecating and neurotic as me, we both look at each other and I was like, is it you? Is it me? Is it you? Did you mess up? Was it me? I don't know. I think it was both of us. And Vince comes on and moves one of those Danishes when Jimmy's like, 6 of these Danishes are my brothers. He moves a Danish a quarter turn clockwise, and he's like, okay, it's good. Thanks. Let's go. And I was like, what? They pick everything. And Vince, if you're listening, it's out of love. You feel and Peter's the same way. There is nothing is by accident, and so you're just you have the biggest safety net to then risk anything you want to in the scene because they have your back. They are watching everything.
Super. And when do you go back for season 2?
I feel like I've been told that they're guessing around the same time period, the mid-June to mid-July-ish when we shot the last one, but nothing was hammered down. It must be that they need to check, on the Q studios and, secure locations and everything. But those guys are in the writer's room right now, figuring out what season 2 is. And I don't know a thing.
Okay. All right, I think it's time for predictions.
Oh, you want to hear them?
Ooh.
And now, your AFTERBUZZ TV predictions.
All right, Zach, what do you think?
I don't know. I guess we're gonna see. I think we're gonna see a bigger development from Kim and Jimmy's relationship. I think that's clearly coming because there's gonna be. I'm excited to see the confrontation when the next time they see each other with just you asshole or no, you butthole.
Yeah.
We'll get a call back there,
All right. Yes. Such good butthole use in this episode. They're really
a lot of good butthole
so
use.
Butthole stuff. I love that.
Yeah.
I can't follow what you just said. But yeah, but yeah, I think there's going to be a big I don't think it's going to be a confrontation. I think there's going to be some sort of mutual respect. But what were you thinking? Are you out of your mind?
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
What do you think, Pegah?
I think Chuck is going to get uber pissed off at Jimmy, and he's going to confront him and say, I know what you're doing. You're back to being your old sloppy Jim? Slippin' Jimmy again. And then he may ask him to change his name. And that's where we're going to get Saul. I know you guys predicted a while ago that's going to be later on in the season, but I think it's going to be that's it. I don't want anything to do with you. I don't want you to being associated with me in, my career. change your name.
I feel like he shouldn't. I feel like he's not going to until he has to, and that's not going to be for a while. I feel like anyone who's on the Saul Goodman, right away train is going to be way disappointed.
Okay.
It's going to take some time for that to actually come to pass. I feel like we have to explore a lot about who Jimmy McGill is before Saul Goodman even comes across our way. I'm just going to throw this out there. I think that our cold open scene, prequel scene next week is going to be between the two of you. I could be incredibly wrong about that, but something tells me I think it's what you just said, Zach, of like we need to see deepen their relationship. You're absolutely right. If it were me, I would drop in a prequel scene between the two of them. Maybe not when they met, but at some point during their relationship. I think that all of this new business is going to be really, really great. We're going to get some great moments, some great comedy moments. But the beauty of this show so far, it is hyper-serialized. Every event has affected future events. Nothing has been throwaway. So I have to imagine that one or more of these new clients is going to offer new information, either about the Kettlemans or about Nacho and Mijo's dealings, or just will enter into whatever goes in with that. We're not introducing new clients for no reason, not just to show that he's becoming a success. Something will come out of that and affect everything else. I want to see this conflict with Hamlin continue to deepen, and I like the idea of Kim becoming conflicted. I know that you're talking about how she doesn't see him as any kind of villain, but she also doesn't see Jimmy as one. And if Jimmy can't get off of this path and starts actively affecting her job security, considering that she's denying that she even knows him, I have to imagine that there's going to be some fun conflict there. What do you think, Stephen?
I think that Mike ends up in some hot water in the next few episodes and is too stubborn to deal with any other public defenders, and Jimmy is the one who gets shoved with the case and won't give up on him. And I think that's where we kind of see some hijinks between that. I think the cops being involved with Charles is his brother's name?
Chuck. It's Charles McGill.
Okay, yeah. I think the cops being involved with Chuck is directly related to Saul Goodman and the Kettlemans, and the police wanting to find Saul.
In the preview scene that you know?
Yeah, when we see in the preview that the police are not busting down the door, I think for the sole fact of Saul being involved in some pretty shady stuff. Yes, sorry, Jimmy being involved in some pretty shady stuff. They're looking for Jimmy, and they think he's at that house.
I saw that scene, and I thought it's not the cops.
Okay.
There's something like either somebody...
They do play with doors like that, where it's the front door, but it's not actually that house, and it's not actually Chuck behind the door.
Right. All right.
Yeah. Who knows?
I don't know.
Yeah.
We'll find out next time.
It's a good episode.
Ray, any predictions?
Yeah.
Yes, I think the next episode will be a very good one.
Okay, fantastic. Folks, I want to thank you so much for joining us this week. It's been a real pleasure. And Ray, it's been a real pleasure having you on the show. Thank you so much for coming.
It's been so much fun to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, so the people can find you on Twitter at Rhea Seehorn.
At Rhea Seehorn, and Instagram as well. Although, feel free to tweet me help on how to do Instagram better. But I love Twitter. I am a huge Twitter fan.
All right, fantastic. Is there anything else you want people to look out for in the coming year?
No. I mean, that's what's going on right now.
Okay, fantastic. Zach Wilson, where can the people find you?
You guys can follow me on Twitter at @ZachWilson, ThatzachWilson. Also here at AfterBuzz, a bunch of shows tomorrow night. There's a double season finale, Sleepy Hollow wrapping up, and Agent Carter. So tune in for that.
Nice.
You can find me on Instagram and Twitter at Pegah Rad. Also, Tuesdays, I cover the Forever After show, and I'm starting House of Cards next week.
Yay.
So tune in for that as well.
Can't wait for House of Cards.
You can find me on Twitter at Stephen Lemieux, and my mic is also muted right now, I think.
There you go. It's on now.
It's on.
All right. Yeah. See you then.
He said Stephen Lemieux.
Stephen Lemieux.
At
At Stephen
Stephen
Lemieux
Lemieux.
on Twitter. And you can find me on Twitter at Matt Lieberman. That's MattLieberman. You can also find my personal videos on YouTube, youtube.com/c/Matt Lieberman, SourceFed and SourceFed Nerd, Banshee, and Helix over here on AfterBuzz. I want to thank you so much for joining us. We'll see you next week. Good night.
From executive producers Maria Menounos, Kevin Undergaro, Phil Svitek, and the entire AfterBuzz TV staff, we would like to thank you for listening to the AfterBuzz TV network. To watch or listen to other after shows and post comments or questions, be sure to visit AFTERBUZZTV.com. I'm Sir Richard Wentworth, and this has been a presentation of AFTERBUZZ TV.
Better call you later.
The views expressed herein are those of the hosts only and do not necessarily reflect the views of AfterBuzz TV or its owners or principals.